Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing the main card of UFC 177 right now with returning guest Nick Kalikas from MMAOddsBreaker.com, and also joining us over the phone is Brad Tazchuk, an MMA analyst, also with MMAOddsBreaker.com. All right, guys, Damon Jackson and Yancy Medeiros, and Jackson, of course, is taking this fight on what, 9 days' notice, right? Which is pretty impressive, but you know, it's still a very competitive line here. We got Medeiros at -120, Jackson at +100, and Jackson, you know, is the legacy FC featherweight champion, and you know, he's 9-0, so maybe that's warranted. Brad Tazchuk, how much do you think the late notice is a negative when it comes to Jackson?
Well, I don't think it's too much of a negative. Obviously, you'd prefer that he has a full training camp, but he's fighting at 155, so it's not like he's going to have to make the cut down to 145 on 9 days' notice, which is good because he's a very, very big 145. So that's going to help because he's not going to be too outsized against Yancy Medeiros. He's going to be a little bit smaller. But I think that Jackson is just way better in the wrestling and the submission game than Yancy Medeiros. So even though he's coming in as the dog on short notice, I think that Damon Jackson's going to actually come out with the victory here. So I like him at the plus number.
Yeah, it makes some sense. I mean, Medeiros has gone 3 fights now without a win. Nick Kalikas, did you open this fight as with Medeiros as a significantly bigger favorite?
No, and this was kind of tricky because he was a significantly bigger favorite against Edwards. So the late replacement in Jackson and the unknown to most UFC fans in Jackson is getting a lot more respect. For me as well, I could see what Brad's saying. I mean, Damon Jackson, his wrestling game is outstanding.
Sure.
His submission game is even better. And, you know, Medeiros is one of these guys that I felt was a very good, interesting prospect coming into the UFC, making his debut. He looked good early on in that fight against Habalov. He ended up dislocating his thumb, of course, and it got stopped. But since that time, I mean, even though he's got a win over Yves Edwards, his defense looked terrible in that fight. And then his last fight against Jim Miller, I mean, it was a surprise. Even on the feet, he was getting beat up in that fight. So I'm a little disappointed. I was expecting a better Medeiros entering, you know, having a steady pace in the UFC and gradually getting better. But from what I've seen, I mean, it is very, very disappointing. And I think Damon Jackson's one of these guys that's a highly touted prospect for a reason. I mean, if he gets you to the ground, he normally finishes the fight. I mean, the guy has, like I said, tremendous skill set. Even on the feet, he's not too bad. I mean, he likes to push forward. He mixes things up well. But this is the thing. I mean, the short notice does bother me a little bit. And I think that Medeiros had a longer time to prepare. He needs to impress the UFC if he wants to keep his job. And in most cases, I think if he's able to keep the fight upright, even though he has some holes in his defense, he could be the more effective striker. Yeah. So I am leaning with Medeiros slightly in this spot. I think that he should be able, his takedown defense should be able to keep it upright, and he should be able to do more damage in this spot here. So it's not a very confident pick, though, because, again, I'm very high on Damon Jackson as well. I think the guy is a legit prospect, and he's going to win some fights in the UFC, no doubt, especially when he drops back down to 145.
Do you think that Medeiros, maybe by like TKO, would be a better bet than just taking him at 120 to win?
Possibly, because I think that, I mean, if he's going to get the job done, that's probably the way he gets it done as well. I mean, you want to be safer. The line's so close that, I mean, -120, no matter what, even if it's a scorecards, is probably the best way to go if you're going to bet Medeiros. But I could see the knockout coming, and you're going to get significantly more value there too. So either way, I think you can't really go too wrong or pass in general, because I'm a little hesitant in this fight as far as betting goes. The rest of the fights that we just talked about actually covered, I think there's some betting value across the board there. But on this fight, it's a little bit more tricky. I think we have to see how both of these guys perform, and hopefully Medeiros does perform a little bit better, because I think, again, the guy could be a definitely legit prospect at 155, and then at 145, Damon Jackson, win or lose, he's going to get another shot, and he can continue to improve as well.
Brad Tazchuk, is this fight basically a pass for you? And if so, what would you bet if you had to bet it?
I actually don't think this fight's going to be a pass for me. I know that the short notice makes it a little bit more difficult, but I do like Damon Jackson. I'm probably going to put a small wager on him. So if I had to bet it, then it would certainly be Jackson. And I think I'd stay away from props for this one just because I'm getting that plus number.
Plus 100 is the current line on Damon Jackson at 5 dimes. All right, guys, thanks so much. Great preview, as always.